Hi, Tempe. It's been a long minute. I've not been well. I've been really sick since November. In bed most of the time, actually. I go outside maybe once or twice a month, maybe. But I walk my dog every day. I mean, if the only reason I actually got a service dog, a therapy dog to most of you, but he's a service dog to me, was so I would get outside. I didn't realize how much of a gracious, gentle soul this dog was going to be, so he's really just family now, but I got him to be a therapy dog. God, I'm really shaky and nervous to talk about this. I've really tried to stay away from the topic. People see me as a political activist, and I'm not. I'm just a what the fuck person in a real way. Like, I don't want to be out there pumping signs in people's faces and screaming and yelling. I've been a pacifist my whole life. Being angry in somebody's face is a really hard thing for me. Like, you've got to have done something really fucked up to me to get me to be in your face. And that's really all that's going on right now, is people being in each other's face. It's really hard for me to watch. I've known this was coming for a long time. I've put a lot of stuff together. I had a really good friend that I would share my thoughts on about all of this. I saw it starting during the pandemic. Just things, and I'm not here to talk to you about what you would call crazy homeless conspiracy shit, so I'm not going to. But I've seen this coming for a while. I don't think it takes many brain cells. I think we all have seen it coming for a while. That's why I don't understand it. I wanted to talk a little bit about a conflict that I'm having in my brain. It's very hard for me because I grew up on a commune where it was a hippie commune where I was, taught to be a fighter for the underdog. And I've done that my whole life, and it's cost me quite a lot. But I took up that cause, and I carried that throughout my whole life and have always fought for the underdog. Because it's important that we stand for people that are marginalized. That's a very important thing. And there are many people that are marginalized. Those that are under the poverty line can get coverage somehow or another, depending on what state they live in. They get better coverage as they're working through life. It's hard to be poor. As a matter of fact, you that are middle class or above don't understand how expensive it is to be poor. But it's actually really expensive to be poor. I've been having a hard time knowing that while I was homeless for 5 years, It has taken me my whole lifetime a long learning curve of up and downs to really understand how this world works. It's all about money. It's all about sets upon sets upon sets, and who actually is in charge of all the sets of people, and how we tally each other into boxes. It's one thing when a country does that to its own people, and if we're okay with it, which in America we are definitely okay with applying boxes to every single type of person, categorizing them into boxes, because it's all about money. You get more money for this box, less money for this box, but if you go around the backside, you get more money for that box. It's a loop. I didn't understand while I was on the streets, because I wasn't paying attention to the news, because, I was starving, getting hurt, trying to help people, a lot of them not trustworthy, but me wanting to not see bad in people because we all have a reason to do something, whatever that may be. And sometimes it just takes listening and understanding as to why we do the things we do. That's why I'm incredibly honest. And it's given me a lot of enemies, and honestly, I don't give a fuck. Because after homelessness, I ain't participating at all. But like this, giving words, that's all I have. That's all I have are words. They're important to me. They may not be important to you, and that's okay. That's fine. At least I've done my part. I was honest in it. And I wasn't self-righteous about it most of the time. Every once in a while. Still working with Tempe on that. I'll get a little bit self-righteous, like, what the heck? Because Tempe's actually a really good town. We just have some really crappy people running it. Not all of them. Because I don't know all of them. But I know a few of you. And man, you could make a difference. And choose not to make ruffles against the system that gives you a good living. While the working poor, those that are undocumented, those that are homeless working day-to-day jobs, are filling your pockets on our backs. And in that, not protected in any way, shape, or form through homelessness, I realized that my government, which I worked through my whole life in service, all of my jobs but one were in service to you in some way or another, whether it was working in government, whether it was working in nonprofits with homeless people, whether it was working with teen pregnant girls, whether it was just trying to raise good children that would be appropriate in the world around you. I worked hard doing all of that. I did that mostly on my own. I wasn't a good picker when it came to men. Thank God I wasn't the worst picker, because I'd probably be dead, although, well, who knows? I'm conflicted. I'm really, really conflicted. Because today is a day to stand for people that are marginalized. And every time I think about it, yeah, yay, go. And yet we watch our homeless die on the streets every day, saying it's all their choice. It wasn't my choice to become homeless. I had a brain tumor. I had surgeries. I'm a very sick human. It wasn't my choice. I know lots of people on the streets, it wasn't their choice. There was an old man that for a while, a few days, because he wasn't a fit for the shelter in Tempe. He's an elderly man, must have been in his 90s. Couldn't get up and down off of a mat. And he was mocked and stuff in iHelp and told he shouldn't be here. What'd you come here for? You can't even pick up your own mat. I'm like, why'd you take him in? Because now you're just double hurting him. His family was dropping him off there every day and then picking him up during the day. And then dropping him, their elder father. And then dropping him off and then picking him up. Went on for a minute. Not a long minute, because iHelp doesn't do that. But they'll take him in for a minute. Head money. Not coherent, more head money. Mentally ill, more head money. Not going to the churches, I don't think, that feed us and give us out of their generous deep pockets and their wide open arms what we need. Not iHelp. They only house like the monitors, maybe, if they stay alive long enough. So while I was on the streets, I'm watching everybody spinning around me. You, them over there, those over there, and us, the homeless. And I'm wondering, I don't understand why. Why not housing first? Why not housing first? And then I find out after I get housed and all this starts happening, we've been housing immigrants for years. For years. First, not citizens. First. Millions, as millions of citizens die on the street. The very working poor dying being unseen, mocked for not being able to do more. We're not all meant for the same purpose. Some people like working in a field. Working with the earth is healing. Some people like being a mechanic and have their own little shop in their backyard because they don't have to deal with people like you and they're doing something they love with their hands. And it's a smart job. Some people like being a daycare worker, taking care of your babies. The working poor. Some of us work just enough to get above the poverty line, and then we're screwed. That was me. There's a lot of people, a lot more people that are like me than are below the poverty line and can get services. So for years, I was homeless with a brain tumor, watching people around me dying, also sick. My friend Charles, colon cancer, died 3 months after he got housed. Him being mocked because he was mentally not well. EMTs coming to the shelter, I'd be like, you gotta call. He's not doing well. He's just having a little panic attack. You know, silent killers are a serious thing. I almost died of 2 in my brain. And another thing that I've not talked to anybody about, but I think one person. In 2008, I almost died of a basketball-sized tumor that grew on my left ovary. Totally blown off. I was going to the doctors for like 2 years. It's IBS, it's blah, 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 it's blah, you're under stress, you need a vacation, blah, 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 blah. I go in finally with fictitious symptoms, so my doctor will check my hoo-ha out. And she says, these things can grow really fast, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've been coming to you for 2 years. I've been bringing lists in. As a matter of fact, I bring lists in so often that you guys told me I could only be seen for 3 issues at a time. She goes, well, these are silent killers. I'm like, the symptoms didn't go together, she says. I'm like, they do for the silent killer, though, that you didn't check. I was working down at the homeless campus when that happened. No. Yeah. I think I was working down at the homeless campus when that happened. Anyway, my country, my state, mocks the very most vulnerable, sick, unseen people in our nation every day. You guys pay taxes. I pay taxes my whole life. Raised good kids for our community. Did all that I was supposed to do. While homeless, completely unseen, mocked, abused, lied about, lied to. There are hundreds of millions of people right now on the streets protesting for vulnerable, unseen, non-citizens. I'm not shaming you. You guys deserve a good life and you're hard workers. Sending money home to feed your grandma, your mom, your sister, your daughter, your wife. Bringing your family over here for heart surgeries. There was a time, a long time ago, and I'm going to see if I can remember this. I didn't learn it in a history book, but I looked it up while I was working at the League of Arizona Cities and Towns, because there was a lot of historical information that passes through that office. And I can't remember what was going on. I think they were probably working on eminent domain at the time. Phoenix was trying to get eminent domain set up down baseline. And there was an attorney or somebody coming in from California like all the time. Anyway, I started doing research about our state because I really hadn't done that up until I started working for the League. And in that, I read about an agreement that Arizona had made with Mexico. And I believe it was the border states all across. Like, I'm from Texas, so I think about the Rio Grande. But, you know, just all California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. I know Arizona made this agreement for sure, that those that live on the border can go back and forth working. You know, there was no separation of border people. This is like when the state was first coming together as a state. And there had been some kind of 100-year treaty, I think, and then America didn't want to give back the land after that 100 years. But there was an agreement. People could come into our state and work from Mexico. And there was nothing wrong with that. I don't know where that fell apart. I think it has to do with we forget real quickly. And most people don't even know, because most y'all aren't from here. So you're not looking into that anyway. You don't know that history. Like, I'm from Texas. I know Texas history. I had to look up Arizona history, even though I've been here my whole life. You know, most of my whole life. So my conflict is so burdensome for me because, yes, all vulnerable peoples should be helped, right? Love more. Love never harms. I am, because we are steadfast. I repeat these words over and over and over again. Love, dignity, at the very least. If we are all dignified with one another, no one goes without. Am I talking about spreading somebody else's wealth to me? No, I'm not exactly talking about that. I don't know what exactly I'm talking about. There was a time in life where community meant something. There might have been 3 or 4 people that were crazy in the community, but as long as they weren't super whatever, they were beloved people. Oh, that old lady, she's been sitting on that corner for 10 years. Her son died, blah, blah, blah. She's lonely. She goes to Dairy Queen for breakfast every morning, you know, but she sleeps on that curb over there, whatever. We used to care about our most vulnerable. Communities have become so big, so large, that it's impossible for us to view anybody. So we're like, here, government, here's our taxes. Do with them what you say you are going to do. Not do they do that at all. When it comes to the homeless, it's lie upon lie upon lie, with numbers skewed. Numbers skewed. An example, when the Oasis Center opened, they said they had lots of people, like 1,200 a month or something like that. It was just eye help, in and out, in and out, in and out. Every time you go out to smoke a cigarette, come back in and sign back in. They didn't have names. They're not taking names to give to the city. They're just saying, yeah, this person went out, and then another person came in. It was that person, same person. They're just counting the amount of times over and over and over again. That's how that works everywhere. And we all know it. That's been around. And yet we say nothing. We say nothing. And what happens? People like me, people like Charles, your children, your fathers, your mothers, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, falling to the wayside for whatever reason. Too old, too sick, too mentally ill, too much into a habit of drugs they may or may not have been exposed to through one of you raising them, but it's their fault. Or maybe they grew up in the system and they have no one when they're hopped out. We haven't set up places like that. Here you go, nobody, nameless human. We've raised you in our system. Here's some food stamps. We'll help you try to get an education. Most of them haven't even finished high school, for fuck's sake. They don't even know how to look at themselves in the mirror and say, who am I? Let me count all the ways I am. They don't even know. Some of us don't know for a really long time who we are. We're too busy looking at you, making a lot of noise about how life's not fair for you. We all have a lot in life to play. And just because it's not as big as yours doesn't mean it's not as important. The piss pot to the potter, the maker, is just as important as the platter that serves your turkey on Thanksgiving dinner. They all serve a purpose. The potter made it with his hands for a purpose, reason. Whether it is collecting your shit or feeding you at your dinner table. I'm conflicted. I was homeless for 5 years. I have a list, a 2-page list of people I met on the streets. And I've been marking off the names of each person that has died since I created that list. And you know, the funny thing is most people, I wasn't hanging around, but they all knew me. Some of them died in my arms because I was safe. Because I cared. Because I didn't shun them because of their situation. I didn't give a fuck if they just came out of prison. I didn't give a fuck if I didn't know they harmed somebody somewhere. As a human standing right in front of me suffering, and I'm listening to their stories of what happened to them, that's all I cared about. Because I'm not a fucking cop. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a fucking nurse. One human to another. Dignity. Dignity. America has not treated its homeless population with dignity. You've watched us die. You've mocked us. Some of you thankful that you have more oxygen to breathe. But you're out there on a corner right now fighting for people you know not, as we, the people that you do know, die. Make it make sense to me. We all pay into this system one way or another. I know that you think that we are the burden. Maybe it's your crooked system that's the burden. We all pay one way or another. And sometimes it's with our lives. And people are dying right now for this cause. Not one of you willing to die to stand up for the people at the river bottom with their rights being broken. Citizens. There are federal rights being broken. But we demand right now that others have rights. We're not going to break their rights because they're just so much more important. Make it make sense, Tempe. Just make it make sense. Y'all have a good day.